Let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. We let light wash over us. We let it be. We let love wash over us. We let it be. 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 Speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. One more time like that. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. You sound so beautiful on a Sunday, everybody. Please welcome our guest musician, Rhea McCarris. Yes.
Good morning, everybody. Oops, I'm sorry. So this is one of those times when a spiritual center feels kind of like a house party because more than half the guests are in the kitchen. Why does it sound funny? Huh? It's playing out in the kitchen.
Loud and Star Hole, I think.
Oh, is that what it is?
Loud and Star Hole.
Okay, but it sounds a little funny here.
Maybe you want mine? Would you like to use this one?
It's booming on that one too. Anyway, Can you guys hear me? Well, why doesn't everybody go into the start hall and then we'll be kind of fun. So anyway, it's good to have you guys here. Thank you for being here. I missed you guys last week. Reverend Marcus did a fabulous job. We're just always so grateful when he comes in. Yeah, I know. You can both. And I had a bit of a, whoa, there I am. So yeah, I had a bit of a family emergency, so it was good. And now this is really loud. So let's see what's going on. So this is what Mars-Mercury conjunction in Pisces looks like, or feels like, or experiences like, right? So here we are. So our announcements have something to do with cats today, and bobcats in particular, or lynxes. Bobcats. So there's something about that. There are our totem for the day.
The annual meeting.
Well, I was going to get to that. I guess that has everything to do with lynxes or tomcats or bobcats. So we are having an annual meeting today after service, and it's a really important thing. So if you can stay, we would greatly appreciate that. Let's see.
Your conversation on the 22nd.
Thank you. My conversation on the 22nd, which is next Sunday. And next Sunday, we also have another guest musician, one of my old friends from way back when, Devavani, is going to be here. Let's see. Also, Jim has his class. Oh, there they are. Annual board meeting. There we go. So Jim has his class going on, and he's started a new series. We'll get to that. Yeah, but I'm talking about Jim right now. It's hard enough as it is. There's Jim. Good. Yeah. So anyway, that's happening. And then, yeah, game night. Game night is not next Friday.
Matt, would you like to come up and share some words? Can we get that slide back for game night?
It does.
I know, it's very loud. It's very loud. See if you can get that slide back. There it is.
There it is. Game night. We're going to play some games on Saturday. We wanted to do some things to just generate more community, more activities, get a chance to know each other. So just a couple hours on Saturday from 4 to 6. Show up. We're going to play different games. We'll have, depending on how many people show up, we'll have 4 different tables. We'll all play the same game, or we'll play 4 different games. So I got like dice games and card games and a trivia game and then like a big board game, and we'll have fun with it. So just come. There'll be you can buy some glasses of wine there. We'll have some light snacks and drinks and stuff, and just hang out and get to know each other and play some games. So it's on the Equinox, and I hope you all can come.
Yes. Alrighty. So, Jim, you want to say anything about your class? Okay. Watch this mic, man. It's hot.
Hot mic. Okay, yeah. So for the Kinship Cafe, again, we've started up that new series going through the foundations of what the Tao Te Ching is all about. And so really encourage you, if you have an interest in that, to check it out. Also, if you go to our community at kinship.cafe, that's not .com, but .cafe on the web, you can plug into the online community, and we have video replays of the classes if you're not able to make it in the mornings on Sunday or really early on Friday morning online.
Okay. So, New Thought in the World, yes. Conversations with me, that's not next Sunday or March 22nd. Okay, yes. After service. Jim, Reverend Laura's in there. You make a difference. That's really all I wanted to say, is you make a difference. Okay, except I want to talk about prayer. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get it together here. What was that movie where he kept saying, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together? It's my mantra right now, keep it together. So, I am so lost. Prayer ministry, don't leave without prayer. Don't leave without, and pray for me. Or pray. If your heart's been touched in any way, just pray. Pray. And prayer is not an achievement, by the way. It's just a state of being. You can't pray wrong. Just all you have to do is just be there. But if you would like assistance and help, and we would love to do that, then there are ways that you can do that. The practitioners get together every Friday morning and we pray. So if you write a prayer request, we add that into our prayer work. You can see one of the practitioners today, either Andrea, Laura, Paul, Terry, and just ask one of them to pray with you, and they'd be happy to. You can fill out a prayer request in the narthex. I think I said that. Or you can make an appointment with any one of us if you'd like spiritual counseling.
And I will lead a prayer circle.
And you will lead a prayer circle after service. So that's that. Okay, our question for the day. So here's our question is, what is rising up to the surface that is surprising you? What is rising up to the surface that is surprising you? Want to give it a go, Jim?
Very difficult not to fall into a political statement here, but I'll keep it personal. I guess one of the things I've been finding very interesting is how my personal concern about well-being and social health is really translating into some work I've been doing in a business space. And so that's been very interesting to find those two things connecting.
Love it. For me, it was an easy attempt to think about this because it was my son, my 17-year-old son, just being a parent for this long, and when he was younger, just teaching him everything and having to be there all the time, and then as he gets older, not having to be there as much, and now he's 17. He's kind of got his own view of the world, and I've always been worried that how do I protect him in this crazy world? But I'm surprised by the fact that he's got his own kind of head on his shoulders and tackling it himself now at 17, and that was like a pleasant surprise because it feels like a burden off my shoulders trying to protect his inner world, and I don't have to do that as much anymore, and he's doing it himself. So that's been a very nice surprise.
Beautiful. All right. Yes. How about you, Andrea?
Musician. So thank you. Yeah. I'm experiencing coming from my heart more instead of my head. And so I may speak something, but I don't always feel it. And I'm feeling more of speaking of self-appreciation instead of the opposite. And it's rising up in a solid way of self-appreciation and self-love, and I'm really noticing that it's surfacing, and so then my words will match my heart.
Beautiful. All right, Paul, we're going to do our traveling mic here. Anybody? What is rising up that is surprising?
What's rising up inside of me that's surprising me is how consumed I'm getting inside in a nonstop, relentless kind of way as I'm experiencing the collective effects, the crushing effects of the gaslighting and the destruction of so much that's going on around me. I'm just crushed inside, and I'm surprised because I can't get it out of my system. And all these wonderful love and praying and all these connections that we have here just ain't enough to relieve that crushing that's going, that consuming effects that are going on inside of me.
She's resisting the microphone. A couple weeks ago, we lost a parishioner, a fabulous woman, and it just ripped our hearts out. And it really forced me into taking a look at how I'm living my life. Am I living it the way she lived her life? It really kicked me in the butt going, wait a minute, I'm whining about this or whining about that. But to see that tremendous woman leave us too soon, it broke my heart. And I said, no, this is a gift. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you for giving us that gift.
Who else? Anyone else?
Yeah, Dan, I want to address this to you. I suggest you come to our Dallas class. I'm serious about that because in the past, I'm also an observer of, and I do a lot of thinking and reading about what's going on in our world. And I used to find it really bothered me emotionally. But since the last year and a half, I've attended Jim's class, I've learned to take a different perception and not react in the same way. You know, it's a matter of perception and the emotions that it generates in you. So there are things you can do to observe and try and understand, but not allow it to emotionally really destroy you.
And I'm the perfect follow-up for that. So since my divorce, I've had a lot of anger and grief that I've been processing and doing my sacred rage practice and processing it, getting it out, emoting. And holy shit, like the past month into this Pisces new moon, I'm so fired up and so passionate and like so creative, like things are starting to pour out of me again because I had shut down that creative passion and fire. So for me, it's been incredible and I'm so grateful.
Yeah, I'll speak to that as well. I feel like I'm resonating with everyone's answers, and especially you there, Daniel. I'm really with you, brother. I feel like I've been really struggling a lot with what's going on in the world, and what's helping me is to really to reflect on how I feel like I'm going through a hero's journey, and just diving into the depths of my being. And I think on a collective that's happening as well. And what's really helping me get through this is the grieving, to grieve my childhood, my past relationship, and then to grieve what's going on in the world. And I think that I'm a little bit more peaceful for doing that.
All right. Well, I am ready. Are you ready? Okay, you ready? Is everybody ready? Okay, good. So we're going to pray. We're going to bring in the present moment and just breathe into it. So I invite you to settle in. Feel your body resting on the bench. Feel your bottom, feel your feet grounded, grounded, grounded. All we have is now. Here and now, here and now, here and now, here and now in this present moment. In this present moment, I am a vehicle of divine love. I am an emanation of the goddess presence that is here before you, and I bow to you. What I see before me is all of the presence, male, female, winged, all that is. I see it in great splendor. And may we know the great splendor that is within us. For the love that we have and the desire in our heart is to achieve something greater than we see before us. And may I say that you are that light. When the grief becomes too deep to take a breath, that is a moment we get on our knees and say, I surrender. And we take it in this moment and the next moment and the next. So here we are in a sacred place on holy ground, and we breathe into ourself a grand, large, full, expansive inhale. And we breathe it up to the very tippy, tippy, tippy top where there's no more breath, and we breathe just a little bit more, and we wait. And then we let it go slowly, slowly, and 3 times, okay? 2 more. Take a breath and breathe it up, 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 all around, and a little more. And then wait and let it go all the way, all the way, all the way, and on your own again. For this is the moment right here and now. This is the only moment that we have. And in this moment, there is God's love. There is a presence that is all pervading, all being, all knowing, and it is here. It is the earth and the ground I stand on. It is the living being. May my thoughts go forth in a place of love. May I walk this earth with gentleness and care and concern. And as I do, in each and every step I am mindful to take, there is a resonance of pure beingness. And to this light is to the prayer, is what I hold whole and holy. And it is the consciousness in which this goes forth. It is a consciousness of great love. May we know that we are never alone, that we walk this earth hand in hand with beloved beings of light. And may we know this. And so we could recognize that we are in a familiar place of kindness and caring and love, that we can share this with each other. That certainly there will be many hugs and many smiles and many expressions of, I see you, I allow you, and I accept you, simply as you are. And when this reflection continues again and again, I will know it within my own being. So this is sacred ground. This is sacred ground. The earth is sacred ground. The flowers and the trees are sacred ground. Let us not forget from where we come from and where we are and where we shall go. Let us remember. So to this Sunday, we have a talk that will inspire us, will make us laugh, and will expand our mind. Rev Guy does this today, tomorrow, yesterday, and the next day. So how beautiful we can know that. Well, I'm just going to come and receive. And our music and our special singers and the percussion is such a gift. And we will breathe and receive. I am grateful. I am grateful. I am grateful. And so it is. So the reading for today is from Tara Brach. Most of you, many of you, I'm sure, know her. She's a beautiful Buddhist teacher. And she says, the great gift of a spiritual path is coming to trust that you can find a way to true refuge. You realize that you can start right where you are in the midst of your life and find peace in any circumstance. Even at those moments when the ground shakes terribly beneath you, when there's a loss that will alter your life forever, you can still trust that you will find your way home. This is possible because you've touched the timeless love and awareness that are intrinsic to who you are. So we will sit within ourselves and each other, a 3-minute silent contemplation. And as we are present in this room, bring a small smile to your lips and So it is.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Not just for some, but for everyone. Oh, we don't need another mountain. There are mountains and hillsides enough to climb. There are oceans and rivers enough to cross, enough to last till the end of time. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Not just for some, but for everyone. Oh, we don't need another meadow. There are cornfields and wheat fields enough to grow. There are sunbeams and moonbeams enough to shine. Oh, listen now, do you wanna know what the world needs now? It's love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Not just for some, but for everyone. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Not just for some, but for everyone.
Rita, everybody. Please welcome our Reverend Dr. Guy Williams.
Gosh, how perfect was that? Thank you. It's not a podium, it's a lectern. Do you know the difference?
No. Oh, yeah, now I do.
Gorgeous. Thank you so much.
Let's see, where am I? I just lost it again. Excuse me 1 second. I keep losing my talk. Isn't that a funny thing? I wrote it someplace in here. I know it's here. No, well, you know, I just lost it a minute ago, and because I must have. There it is. Good. Thank you for that song. I don't think anything could have been more beautifully and timely, and it was just such a tonic to the soul. And I was thinking about. So let me date myself. Anyone know what movie that was in? Way back. Bob, Carol, Ted, and Alice. Do you guys remember Bob, Carol, Ted? That was I could almost put that into my talk right now to a section where I want to get into, because it was a great movie. I guess it was probably the late '60s, maybe early '70s, but it was Bob, Carol, Ted, and Alice. But it was all about relationships and things that were going on, and how interesting, how timely then to now. It's like one of those kind of eternal things. So what I'm wanting to talk about today is continuing our theme of what it means to be at home in the world. And my talk title this morning is How to Be Credible in an Incredible World. How to be credible in an incredible world. And so maybe the first thing to do is define what that even means. Because I use that word incredible loosely and incorrectly. Because credible means to be what? To be believable. So incredible means not believable. So when I say things like, oh, that meal I just had was incredible, what I'm saying or I'm affirming is that meal wasn't even believable. But maybe what we're meaning is we're stretching beyond the norm or how we have compartmentalized or synthesized or maybe attempted to control our perception and how we are in the world. Hermann Rosa says this so brilliantly. He says, a controlled world is a dead world. And so maybe this is a way to kind of push on that. So where I kind of want to go with this then is, I want to start with a couple credible conversations. And what I mean by that are conversations that I've kind of either experienced, like that movie, or had taken part in. And I think what brings credibility is the experience of resonance. And so I kind of want to talk about certain conversations that have led me to an experience of resonance. And it began last Friday night. I have these friends I've had since high school, which was a really long time ago. Really long time ago. And we have been friends, since the 60s and have stayed in touch. We get together once a month. We were, in our 20s. We all lived together at the beach and we've had all those experiences. And we've been with each other through the comings and goings of relations and the passing of parents and the birthing of children and careers and experiences and all kinds of things. And we remain close. These are two of probably the closest people in my life. And we had this conversation Friday. It wasn't terribly remarkable. We talked about, what do you talk about with your wife? We talked about what it means to feel like you're getting old, what it means to feel the joys and the fears of entering into retirement. With just kind of a gamut of that, what it would mean to move. And it was a really interesting, but what it created was this sense of resonance, of actually being present to and with. You know what I'm saying? You've had those experiences? And I was thinking in terms of some other ones that have kind of happened to me. And one of them actually is with these two guys. It happened, we were in our mid to late 20s. And I think I've shared this before, but it was one of those conversations that has changed my life and changed the trajectory of my life. And I would say that I am a minister today because of this conversation. We used to always bring interesting people to our house and have Sunday dinners together. And one of my friends at the time, Dave, was still practicing Catholicism, and he brought home a Catholic priest one night for dinner. And his name was Father Greeley. And come to find out, he's actually a published author. I find this now. So mind you, this is a long time ago. But Father Greeley made this statement, oh so casually, in the dinner, probably between I don't know what and the other. But what he said was, and he was quoting Augustine, he said that if you love God, you can do whatever you want. If you love God, you can do whatever you want. Actually, what Augustine says is love God and do what thou will, which is opposed to Aleister Crowley, which is a whole different thing, because he frames it in such a way that at first when I wrestled with this, what do you mean? All I've got to do is love God and I can do whatever I want. Score, this is great, until you realize that when love motivates our actions, something profound and different takes place. So, it was an eye opener for me, and I still consider this. It is probably still one of the strongest mantras in my life, to love God and to do what I want, because I am free to choose, but the freedom that I choose from is guided by a higher ideal. And that I'm not necessarily a slave to my own desires or my own thoughts or whatever the case may be, but maybe there's something that creates a form for a greater experience of freedom to happen. I know that seems somewhat contradictory, but welcome to the spiritual world. And another conversation I didn't have, but I watched, and it was around this time, and I'm curious if anybody's ever seen this movie. It was a movie called My Dinner with Andre. Do you guys remember this movie? Oh my goodness, I think I want to see it again. I mean, it's been decades since I've seen this movie, but I remember it was so profound. And what was profound about it was the whole movie, for those who have not seen it, is two guys sitting at a dinner table for the course of a meal. So it's probably an hour and a half or 2 hour movie. And it's just a conversation. There's no chase scenes. There's no bombs. There's no sex. There's no women. There's nothing except two guys having a conversation that you kind of feel that you're just kind of sitting in on. But it's this amazing conversation, especially of this one guy who has gone through this radical transformation, and he's sharing it with his friend and how the perception of his world has changed. And he was talking about things like Finhorn, and he's talking about these other kinds of things. And I was with the impression of, wow, goodness gracious, what an amazing world. And so I think what this movie awoke in me was a real sense of amazement and wonder of the world and different people's experiences. And this was a long time ago, of course, but I remember staying with that. And of course, probably one of the other conversations that is so profound for me was Frodo and Sam as they are walking through Mordor. And they just assume there's no way out. But they talk about the things that are important: being in the Shire, working on the garden, being part of this never-ending tale that they happen to be in, the people that they love, the things that they would love to see or long for again, and how this tale will continue even past them. And it brings that sense of just, that we are part of something greater than ourselves at any particular time, that's always coming on and always moving and wherever it's going. And then recently I'm rereading a book, and I was looking at when I wrote the notes in this book, and it was about 6 or 7 years ago. And the book is called The Key, and it's by Whitney Strieber. Anybody know this one? So Whitney Strieber has written several books. He's probably most famous for a book that he wrote years ago called Communion. And he's a screenwriter, and he's an author, he's a novelist. And he had a cabin, Maine, I think, or something. These things always seem to happen in Maine. But he has been visited by visitors, as he calls them, and the experiences that he's had. But he tells the story in The Key, and again, it's a half-hour conversation that he has. He's been on a book tour, and it's 2:00 in the morning, and he's dead asleep. And this person shows up and knocks on the door of his hotel room and comes in and has this conversation with him that is just mind-boggling. And I'm not sure if it's true or not true. It doesn't matter. And I think that's the thing with what I'm trying to say is none of these things have to be historically relevant or factually true, but they create a sense of resonance. And there's several things that this character in this book, The Key, begins to say that are really quite remarkable in so many ways. One of the things that he talks about is he says, the visitors have made contact, but your governments have chosen to lie and keep them silent. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. And I don't consider myself a conspiratist theory. So I don't know if it's true or not. But what I do know is true is that's exactly what our governments would do. So whether or not it happened is irrelevant. But is it possible to have happened? Absolutely. And he also talks about how he says, he talks about an event that he says was one of the most important events in world history, which was the Holocaust. And the reason the Holocaust was so important is because there was a couple who were killed, and their child was the one who was going to figure out how to work with gravity to get us off the planet. And we lost a chance. Now, again, I don't know if that's true or not, and it doesn't even matter if it is. But what he's saying, I think, in there is the loss that begins to happen in things like genocides in Gaza, or the Holocaust, or any of these things. The loss, we don't even know. We don't even know what we're losing when we perpetrate these horrendous things upon the environment or life. He talks about how it's all for all. And I think this is an interesting thing because it goes against a mindset that we have created in the West, particularly in our culture, that is a relatively new idea that is somewhat dangerous. And it's this idea of personal salvation. So there's a few things that I want to criticize today, I guess. I will get them off my chest or rant or rave, whatever it is that I want to do. But this idea that all I have to do is believe in something for myself personally, and then I'm off the hook, which is another way of saying is I don't give a flying what happens to the rest of you or what happens, and it doesn't matter because I'm set. But what he's saying, and actually what Jesus taught, if we want to go that far back, or even the Hebrew culture and other cultures, is there's no such thing as a personal salvation. Either we all go or none of us go. So here's the thought. How would the decisions that you make in your world today be different if you didn't think in terms of this is for me as opposed to this is for us? Do you see the difference, the mindset that begins to happen? Because we're really in a culture, I think, that focuses so much on us as the individual that we begin to lose the perspective that we're part of something other than ourself. And it's a way, I think, of numbing us. And I was thinking about that. What happens in a mindset like this is that we are prone to these addictions. And whether it's whatever the addiction is, name it. But it comes down to, I think, for myself, the ones that I'm looking at are the addictions of achievement. Because everything we need to achieve, even in our teaching, even in our philosophy. If we get sick, it's because we're praying wrong. Or if this happens, it's because we haven't done this. So even in our desire to commune with the divine, we're doing it with this sense of wanting to achieve something because it's so baked into our consciousness. We don't know how to not function with going towards achieving something. Or the other thing that we do is we are into this experience of acceleration. We see this in our world today. It's accelerating. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about the analogy of being in one of those upside above ground pools where everybody's running in one direction and it goes faster and faster and faster. But if you want to stop, you get sucked into it. You get pulled from it. And so there's a sense that our whole economy, our whole culture, everything is about faster, more, better, faster, more, better. That Hartmut Rosa says this, it's like riding a bicycle. If you stop pedaling, you fall over. The whole thing crashes and burns if we're not in some form of maddening acceleration. And then the third one that I would offer is control. We want to control everything. And again, Hartmut Rosa says that a controlled world is a dead world. And in all of these addictions, like every other addiction, all comes down to the same addiction. The one addiction, the uber addiction of, or the ur addiction of all addictions. And the root of all addiction is the addiction to not feel. Everything that we do, whether we take a trip to the casino or, bet on this or do this or work hard or overachiever or whatever the case may be, all of it is around this idea of not feeling. It is non-resonance, that sense of not being there. And so I kind of want to, look at that. And as I was sitting with this, I thought about how incredible certain conversations that I have heard, or that we've all heard, or that we're all experiencing, lack this sense of credibility. And I think the first one, like I said, is this idea that personal salvation. That somehow or another, it's about my prosperity, my good, my this, my relationship to God, my this, my. It's a ruse and it's a lie. Because what it makes us think is that we're separate and alone, and that we're not connected to anything. And so whatever the mayhem and mischief happens from that kind of thing, and a lot of it comes from just how it's taught. I am incredulous as I listen to the movement of Christian nationalism, which really comes from this whole movement known as Christian Reform movement, Christian Reform or Reform Christian evangelist, whatever the heck they call themselves. They're relatively new. They've only been around since a couple decades, but they're creating lots of mischief. And you hear somebody like one of the main proponents, this guy by the name of Doug Wilson, who happens to be our present Secretary of War's spiritual advisor and mentor. And he says things like, we're creating a nation. And they were talking like parades, Yeah, you can have patriotic parades and you can have Christian parades, but you can't have gay and lesbian parades. You can't have Catholics parading Mary around. You can't have Krishna parade. You can't have anything but this one thing that's state-sponsored because the national religion says it's this. I don't know who determines it. It certainly won't be me, I'm sure, or any of us in this room. But this idea of this vision, of this idea of this nationalist movement that creates this kind of thing. And part of the things that he talks about then is that women should not have rights. They shouldn't have the right to vote, and they should be in the home. There should only be just the man gets to vote. All kinds of crazy things like that. Another one that comes in, and I think it's kind of important. I want to talk about it only because I feel so strongly about it, because it's in the collective vibe right now, is this, again, relatively new, theologically nonsensical, but very dangerous idea of what is called dispensationalism, which really comes from some guy in England who fell off a horse and he had this idea and these visions. And he talks about these different periods. And one of the things that they talk about is this whole idea of a second coming of Jesus, which is, again, is kind of theologically off. And it talks about this, and it says there's signposts along the way. And one of those signposts is Israel coming together as a nation. But let me tell you something very, very true, is the nation of Israel is not ancient Judea or Israel. It is not. It's not the fulfillment of any biblical prophecy. The Hebrew Bible is not some Dumbledore book of magic spells that predicts these future events to have happened. And the secular state of Israel is not the ancient nation or tribe of Judaism coming back home. It simply isn't true. And why that's important is because it's not a signpost for anything unless you are trying to create a self-fulfilling apocalypse. And then you can do other things, because one of the movements is we're going to build the temple on the grounds of the old temple. Because if you want to start, just a crazy existential war, decide that you're going to tear this mosque down and build a temple on that. What could possibly go wrong on that thing? And what does it do? It brings back animal sacrifices. It brings back all this. So it's a dangerous, dangerous idea that we don't take seriously, except people in power like the Secretary of War believe this kind of stuff and act accordingly with it. And then the other one, and here's the tell, and then I'll stop ranting. I'm not going to stop ranting, but I'm going to at least turn us back to where I want to kind of go. But here's the tell, and I heard this coming from the words of the Secretary of War when he talked about peace through strength. You know who said this? Augustus Caesar. It is empire. It is Pax Romanus, peace through strength. It is the exact opposite of what Jesus of Nazareth taught. When Jesus taught about the kingdom of heaven, he was speaking to an alternative way of living. It was not the religion or the establishment of empire. It was not peace through strength or power, but it was peace through restorative justice. And that, friends and neighbors, is what got him on a cross, by an empire who was threatened by what he was offering. And it's interesting to me that here we find ourselves today with these old ancient gods of empire leering their heads. And again, the words are the same. Peace through empire. How in the world did we ever get here except that we did? Oscar Romero, who was a Catholic bishop who was assassinated in El Salvador by CRA and other people from El Salvador, wrote this before he was killed. He says, peace is not the product of terror or fear. Peace is not the silence of cemeteries. Peace is not the result of violent repression. Peace is the generous, tranquil contribution of all to the good of all. Peace is dynamism. Peace is generosity. It is right and duty. That's the difference. That's the truth that we owe. That has credibility to it. And I was thinking about this because here's the thing. I don't know about you, but I don't know what to believe anymore. A couple things, it's hard to believe. First of all, there's censorship like we've never seen before. Have you seen any photographs of the bombings of Tel Aviv? No. Very few have said it. Or Bahrain? No. Because there's a censorship on what can be seen and not seen. I was reading in The Guardian the other day about this British tourist who now finds himself in jail in Bahrain because he was taking pictures of on his phone of buildings that had been hit by the bombs of the Iranians. So there's an absolute ban or censorship. We are cut off from the rest of the world of what we get to know. Our media is essentially owned by billionaires who have their own personal agenda. And AI makes anything unbelievable because you just don't know. You don't know. I was reading something the other day, and I probably spent way too much time on Substack, but there was these rumors going around, and it's just like you can't trust anything. And so I had to think, so as I'm struggling with all this, I said, well, how, what navigates us? What navigates us in this world, in a world that, of course, they would shut down if there were visitors offering us something. Of course, they're trying to rewrite things, and they're censoring the media. Of course, there's lies, and of course, AI is being manipulated, and we just know that there's just lies with impunity. And so what do we do in a situation like this? And I can guess where you're going right now, because it's exactly where I went, right? We're all thinking of the same person right now, aren't we? Hans Urs von Balthasar, right? Wasn't that immediately what came to you? And for the one or two of you in this room who doesn't know who Hans Urs von Balthasar was, he was a theologian back in the 60s, and he was Swiss, hence the name. But he wrote this. He says, love alone is credible. Nothing else can be believed, and nothing else ought to be believed. Love alone is credible. Nothing else can be believed. So the conversations that I was having earlier that I shared, what made them credible was the love that existed in them. When we have deep relationships, they become credible because love exists in them. One of the things that Whitley talks about in his book is he talks about sin, but I would say evil, and I'm using those words broadly, but that these activities, what makes them what they are, is they are the antithesis of flourishing. They are the antithesis of life. Teilhard says it this way. He says, driven by the forces of love, the fragments of the world seek each other so that the world may become into being. Love alone is capable of uniting living beings in such a way as to complete and fulfill them. For it alone takes them and joins them by what is deepest in themselves. Love brings things together. Love engenders flourishing. It engenders life. It is expansive. It is growing. And therefore, it is credible. What is not credible is anything that is the antithesis to life. Peace through strength is a lie. It is not credible because it does not align with flourishing, of expansive, of life. You cannot bomb your way to peace. It's worked never, ever. You can't lie your way into relationship. You can't do the opposite and expect to experience the good. The only way that the good can be the good is the practice of the good. Love alone is credible. And it is the only thing. So what that means to me then is, and here's the work, kids, is that love becomes the lens of perception. And I think what that means is, even now, in my anger and my fear and my frustration and everything else that I'm experiencing, and possibly you too, and how easy it is for me to look at someone and say, yeah, that person said this, and if that person, whatever, go to prison, whatever the case may be, except I am not to look at that person through my perception, which is addicted to not feeling, but to look at that person through the perception of how the divine presence of love sees them. I don't know how it's done alone. I honestly don't know how it's done alone. We are social creatures. Our very species is we're basically genetically about 3 hairs from a baboon. And if you look at any other primate, we are very close. We are very connected to each other. This whole idea of rugged individualism is another lie. It is our dependence on each other, incredible loving relationships that engenders trust, that engenders flourishing, that empowers us the capacity. And so this morning, we had this incredible sharing. It was so important that we can create a safe place where people are saying, man, I don't know how to handle this, or I don't know what's going on, or I'm digging into my shadow. Whatever the thing is, whatever we talked about this morning exemplifies the need for community, for togetherness. The cool thing about a spiritual community is it's a place where you get to be, as my teacher Kathy Hearn used to say, we get to grow up all over each other. But I think what it means is we create a place where the practice is unconditional love. And so the atmosphere becomes one that it is safe to grow and expand. It becomes credible in an incredible world. And so here's my invitation to each and every one of us this morning, is for each of us to take on one credible thing, one credible practice, one act of love. And don't cheat, because it's, here's an easy one for me. It's like, I can go home and pet my dogs and be filled with love. Man, no matter where I am, if I am losing my mind, I just need to think about those dogs, man. And it just fills me with love and warmth and goodness. That's easy for me. The kid next door who doesn't know how to do anything but scream, that's the practice. That's the practice. I feel like I'm becoming Mr. Wilson and Dennis the Menace. Except he isn't nice. I don't know if he is nice or not, because I have a prejudice about him, a perception about him. He annoys the hell out of me and makes my dogs bark loudly. So I've got this whole story that I tell myself. And so therefore I have limited any possibility. So what would be interesting and doable, but yet difficult to practice? Love alone is credible. And let's check in next week on what that would be. Let's do a practice of it. We're in the Lenten season, and I don't think God cares if we give up chocolate or not. But I think what happens is, and Ramadan is going on the same way, so God doesn't care if you don't eat all day long or not. I just don't think that that's something that God thinks about. But what I do think, personally, is that the presence of unrelenting love wishes to see its creation flourish collectively by acts individually. So that if I can practice flourishing by changing one thing, it's like doing a homeopathic treatment on the entire planet. And if we all do it, we're doing a little bit more. And what we're doing is something that the great master teacher Jesus says. We are talking about the aeon, the kinship of a new way, an alternative way of being, one that is not leading us towards annihilation and extermination, but one that is leading us towards life, and life abundantly. Thank you.
Thanks as always, Rev.
Good.
There's an ancient fear creeping here. There's an air of yesteryear. It may never disappear. Let's draw these lines so very clear. Anyone under the sun, anyone under the moon, I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. Know just how to make us fight. Our evolution's black and white. The truth is where you shine your light, so we can see who has the right. Anyone under the sun, anyone under the moon, I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. They say we got these separate ways, then you watch how power plays. Now all I know and all I see is I am you and you are me. Anyone under the sun, anyone under the moon, I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. Again, sing with us. Anyone under the sun, anyone under the moon, I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon.
All right.
Thanks for singing along, everybody. It sounds beautiful.
Thank you, Rhea. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Rev Guy. We're here, filled up. Goodness gracious, so filled up. So many ways and so many levels that we have received. Feeling inspired and ready to take on the challenge. So we're here to give back, a conscious giving, to give and support the power of the word, the love of the music, and the gift of community. To give. So as you hold your tithe, your gift, your offering for Hilltop, for yourself, for our growth, for the world and the planet, we are so grateful. We are so grateful that you are here, that we can be inspired and lifted up together, that we are a community. We're so grateful. So for all that you give today and all that you continue to give, thank you.
People coming through, coming through, coming through. People like you and you and you. You didn't have to, but you do, but you do. You keep on coming through, coming through, coming through. Yeah, you. Yeah, you. Thank you. People coming through.
Thank you. I guess I need to ask your permission because I changed the words around when I sing that with my golden retriever. You know, to Golden's like you. And we howl and it's good. So thank you guys for being here. Please hang out for the annual meeting. It should be interesting. We've got food. I want to thank Chris and Betty for being our greeters this morning, and Steve and Mike for working miracles back there in the sound booth. And thank you for being here today. It's just good to see you. And for anybody that's in the kitchen, we want to give them love. And I want to thank the music today. Lee, always you're extraordinary. It's such a honor to be on the platform with you and Jim. And Rhea, what a treat. It's always good having you here. Thank you so much. So let's see what needs to be said. Let's have fun. So hang out. There's food to eat, so please hang out for a little bit. I'd love to get a chance to chat with you afterwards. And for all of you in the virtual world, I haven't said anything about to you guys today at all. So just know I love you and I'm thinking of you and hello and all that too. So let us pray. Let us bless ourselves. My prayer is the same prayer all the time. May I be filled with amazement. May we be filled with amazement. May we be filled with wonder and awe. May we be surprised. May it rattle us out of the elevator music we might be stuck in. May it lead us to a place of amazement, wonder, and awe, and then reverence. And may that reverence awaken within us a yearning for service. May we be a blessing to the world by living our own Dharma. By living who we have been called to be, we free the world. And I give thanks for this opportunity, letting it be, and so it is.
All right. Let's do this song that is about clarity, and clarity starting within. That's the only way it works.
I love when you stand.
Yes. A little reference to Andrea's Tara Bruck quote today, starting with that clarity inside.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all the obstacles in my way. Gone on the dark clouds that have me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Yes, I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is a rainbow I've been paying for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue sky. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue sky. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all the obstacles in my way. No little rainbow I've been praying gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Sing loud with us. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Two more times. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. One more time. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Happy Sunday, everybody. Keep that love in your heart. Much love. Thanks, Ria. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, my lady.